Let's turn off the big stuff.
Then you turn it off.
Yep. Flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Can we get a roll call, please?
Mrs. Hofkin,
Here.
Mr. Prego,
Here.
Mr. Hipser,
Here.
Mr. Elliott,
Present.
Mrs. McGinnis,
Here.
Ms. Pennypacker,
Here.
Mrs. Cunningham,
Here.
Mrs. McCormick,
Here.
Mr. McCarrick.
Here.
Thank you.
Next, I'd like to get a motion to approve the October 28th, 2021 board workshop minutes.
So moved.
Oh, second. I have a motion and a second. Do I have any comments? Hearing and seeing none. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. So the next item on our agenda is one of our happy moments. We have some presentations, In a moment, I'm going to be turning the microphone over to Dr. Carpenter. We had a wonderful season of sports, and we have some students that are going to be recognized here. So Dr. Carpenter, do you want to take it away?
Good evening. It's like herding cats. We are excited to have three of our teams here, fall teams here, to be recognized. This is one of the great things for us to do, and we appreciate the school board doing this. We don't always recognize, the good things that happen at school. Quite often, it's the negative things that get pointed out too often. But tonight, we have our Three-Peat Pioneer Athletic Conference Field Hockey Champions. Three-Peat's pretty special. It's only happened, this is the third time that it's happened in our league's history. So it's an excellent accomplishment. I'm going to turn it over. Coach Jamie Warren, our head coach, is unable to be here. So we have our two assistant coaches, Coach Flack and Coach Best here. And I think Coach Flack's going to take the mic right now.
Good evening. Thank you very much for having us come before you. It is such an honor to be here. And this is just an outstanding group of young women in front of you. They have worked tirelessly throughout the summer, as well as the other athletes too. I'm not taking anything away from them. But to do what they've accomplished in the past, for some of them, 4 years, some of you 3, some of you, we don't have any sophomores here, right? And some of you 1 year, has just been outstanding. And the record this year was 22-4-1. And we actually did beat the team that was the state champs. We beat them in the regular season, Twin Valley. So that was, Twin Valley. That was very nice that we could have said that we could do that. So I just want to honor our seniors right now, our captains, Lindsay Joyce. Just wait. Luigi Carpenter. Jessica Trainer. We moved into juniors now. Abby Rodenberger. Megan Fiorito. Sarah Steinman. And Julia Trainer. And Jay Trainer. I'm very thankful that they now have their hair different lengths because I can tell them apart. Also, to add to their accomplishments, raise your hand right now if you were all state. There were several of them, all state recognition as well. So congratulations. As well as raise your hand if you were all PAC. Every single one of them. So that says a lot. We had very well represented on the teams this year. So congratulations, and thank you for having us in front of you.
So we actually have, the board has 2 certifications for the field hockey team. They're getting a certificate for being division champs, the Frontier Division of the Pioneer Athletic Conference, as well as a certificate for overall league champions. So congratulations, girls, and much appreciated. Soccer, right? Or it doesn't matter. Soccer's fun. I'd like to introduce to you Coach Mike Freed is the head coach of our 2021 Frontier Division champions, our girls soccer team. Let's give a round of applause. Incidentally, Coach Freed earned his 100th career win, right? 100th upper perk win. So nice. Coach Freed.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so it was a record-setting season for girls soccer. We finished a perfect 10-0 in our division, 16-2 regular season, and 18-4 overall, all of which were program records for most wins, least losses in a season. The team scored an amazing 95 goals in 22 games, only conceded 16 goals, which again, those were both per program records. So we set a lot of records that way. Team reached the Pac-10 final for the second time in program history. Traditionally, the Frontier Division teams don't fare well getting there. It's only the fifth time that a team from the Frontier Division has made the final. We actually made it to the semifinals at districts, falling on penalty kicks to defending champion Villa Joe, which unfortunately sent us unfortunately, that one loss sent us one game away from actually qualifying for states for the first time. What kind of made it amazing was we only had 26 players. 2 of them entered the season with season-ending injuries that would not play at all. So we only had 24 players, which there were times of practice that we literally couldn't play 11v11 because we didn't have enough healthy players to play 11v11. But it forced everyone to step up. As a result, every one of these girls played at least half of all the varsity games and qualify for varsity letters because so it truly required contribution from everyone. 8 of our players also were recognized all league. What's also great to note with this team is for the 9th straight season, they've qualified for the United Soccer Coaches Association of America Team Academic Award. That requires a 3.25 GPA. We were at 3.65 this year. And like I said, 9 straight years for the team. And also in addition to it, they qualified for the United Soccer Coaches Sportsmanship Award in 22 games, playing some games at some very high levels. We had 1 yellow card the entire season. So at this point, I'd like to introduce our players. I'm starting with one of my assistant coaches, Lauren Compton. Okay. Our seniors, Lindsay Beeler, Ian Kuzminski, Gabby Neal. Note that all 3 of them intend on continuing their careers in the college level. Lindsay at McDaniel, Sammy at either Shippensburg or Kutztown, and Gabby just signed all her paperwork today for LaSalle. We have our juniors, Kylie Casola. I can't tell them apart with or without the man. Aaron and Sarah Edwards, you tell them. The goal by the time they graduate is to actually be able to tell them. Lauren Powers, Ava Roderick, our sophomores, Megan Cairns, Elizabeth Proctor, and our freshman, Elise Kreiner, Eva Long, Straw. No, I know. I'm thinking fast. And Morgan Sweet. So, I do also want to mention one player is not here, but good excuse for not being here. Sarah Fisher, who was named the division most valuable player and all Southeastern Pennsylvania, all state. She's currently at the All Southeastern Pennsylvania banquet this evening. So we'll give her a pass along with Coach Lewis, who accompanied her to that banquet. So Casey's not here. So, okay. Thank you to everyone for, yes, thank you to everyone for recognizing the team. We do truly appreciate it. Thank you.
Come close. True. Are we all in? And now we have our 2021 Pennsylvania State Small School Championship qualifying boys water polo team. And I have here Coach Kalinowski to recognize the athletes. Coach Kalinowski.
Thank you. Sorry. So this is, I think we're missing just one of our boys this year. This is the largest water polo team, boys team that we've had in many, many years. It obviously makes a difference. One of the nice things is about half the team was new to the sport. So that provides depth for the future. That also will make a difference in future years, because obviously our goal is to not only make it to the state tournament, which the boys have done consistently since the inception of the small school state championship. Our goal is to win the state championship. The girls did it a few years ago in the inaugural season. And so I'd like to have a matching trophy bookends for the boys. So we certainly have the pieces in play here to make that happen in the future. And they had a great season. They worked hard. And the bottom line is we made it to we try not to destroy the place, please. Right. We just came from a swim meet. So we came literally they dropped us off. But the guys did a great job this year. And again, we're going to build on that success. And hopefully in a year or two, I can come back here and we can have a state championship, another one. So anyway, thank you guys for recognizing our team. Oh, sorry. All right. So our players, Josh McKelvey, captain. We have John and Tyler Hughes. We have Caden. Caden, why can't I remember your last? Oh, Favor. That's it. Sorry about that. Eric Carter, Nolan McCloskey, Hunter Francisco, our goalie, Diego. Yeah, I know. Andrew Kelly, Weston Landis, Jack Mooney, and Parker Elliott. All there. And we're missing one of our other captains, Mike Szymanski. He is actually away on a senior trip with his dad in Texas hunting. So he's not here this evening, but basically this is our team. So thank you guys again. We appreciate it. Your support and everything that you do for us.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Thank you for the opportunity to recognize the kids. Much appreciated. Thank you very much.
So we're going to give them a minute to leave. And if any of you or parents want to just go ahead and go, that's fine also. Except for you, Mr. Elliott.
Yeah.
Right? Yep. All right. So we're going to move on our agenda. The next item is the 2021-2022 superintendent goals. So I'm going to turn the mic over to Dr. Roche.
Thank you, Ms. McGinnis. It seems to be that this is the time of year to share the goals that have been worked on for the year and kind of fortified to, after we share today, it'll be on the website. So that way it's in compliance with that. But I know, as you know, these have been worked on for a period of time. And I'll state many times tonight that the work of the goals from the superintendent are also the work of the goals from the assistant superintendent and all of the directors and supervisors as we are a team. But just kind of those broad arching goals, which are similar to last year, but a little different based upon some of the challenges that are there this year, as well as, refreshing them to what's important in this specific school year. So the first goal is very similar to last year, focused on COVID, right? Lead, plan, direct, manage, support, and collaborate with all internal and external stakeholders and addressing the challenges and opportunities facing Upper Perk as related to COVID. So, and again, not all the work that I am doing specifically, a lot of the team is pulling this, but they're kind of helping to coordinate all the information that's there. Hopefully this goal will fall off sooner than later as a part of that. It's new last year, but these are all the pieces to that puzzle that are constantly changing. And although we have seen a little peak now on the way down, that's a positive piece that hopefully we'll continue to see as we move forward. So that's the first goal tied to those. The second is to support the business department. As you know, we've had a transition with new leadership. So part of that is my role is to support that transition. As of December, we were fully staffed in the department with Mr. DeRiso, and then the replacement for Mr. DeRiso's position is really, I was kind of challenged last year, mid-year, probably before the summer, really about digging into this budget for a lot of different reasons, as you can see there, and examining things and working on some financial projections and some comparison pieces, which will help us through the budget process. So looking forward to continue to work directly with Mr. DeRiso on these and at the Finance Committee. A lot of work ahead, as we know, but looking forward to continued transparency over the course of the next couple of years. This one will be going on, obviously, for a longer period of time. Third goal is really why we're here in terms of academics, making sure that what's taking place at the buildings, the action plans there are student achievement, our growth, all the assessment pieces that are under Dr. Farina, as well as Mrs. Bast and the team there, our school culture, positive relationships. We added a goal here in implementing action steps for our non-instructional administrators. So some of our non-instructional administrators did not have goal systems set up. So those are now in place and being monitored and supported with action steps and regular check-ins that'll help with the evaluation and the accomplishment of goals through the end of the year. And then again, continue to expand our supports on the mental health, social, emotional needs, and the best well-being of our students, as well as continuing to work with facilities, human resources, and technology with safety and security measures at the forefront there. And then goal 4, again, focuses on those 3 departments with me working with Mr. Kenwood, Mrs. Fisher, as well as Mr. Roth in areas that are key to the district in so many areas. I won't read them all to you, but you can see the GIZA pop out there, as well as the purchasing and improvements and the potential feasibility study that we have planned to help us in many areas. Human resources continues to be an area of growth and support as we want to continue to keep our teachers, keep our staff. And as you know, we have a collective bargaining process in place with our teachers union. So we hope to have that done as soon as quickly as we can so that we head into the summer and and that process has already begun. So obviously I'm trying to play a pivotal role in supporting the board as well as that process. And then finally, nothing greater than technology and weaving that into what we do on a daily basis, not just laptops, but all the hardware, all the software, and all the programs that keep things going and supporting Mr. Roth. And I know he always has his eye on disaster recovery and the overall network cybersecurity, which we continue to see happening. It happened to our website just a couple of weeks ago, nothing to us, just an interruption in service, but it's obviously a key piece to the work that he's doing. And then finally, goal 5 is something that will always be a part of that, which is continue to increase communication and visibility and build confidence in our community that the leaders in the school are doing everything they can, and they're available and trying to support our students and families as best we can. So you'll see continue to improve communications, visibility. So it could be simply, attending events, but also strategically getting people out and promoting our success just beyond, not just in our own area, but the successes that you've seen tonight, those 3 teams that we have. I'm sure we've got more coming from the fall, but not just athletics. We have got academic supports and supporting them outside our area, in our county, and then beyond. Because what I continue to hear is Upper Perk used to be this. Well, that's the trajectory that we're on to make sure that people know our successes as well outside of our area. And then finally, continue to work with our community organizations. I've never been in a place that has so many connections with our community groups and departments. And that's long before I was here with your mission and statement that says that you were going to partner with people and build those relationships. So one that's mentioned here, obviously, is the Ed Foundation, which we're continuing to grow. It has such potential here, so we're looking to support that. But all of those relationships from the chamber, from all of those community partnerships are important to the district moving forward. So in a nutshell, I know I shared these with the board previously, but those are the five overarching goals. Again, not all done by me, but me supporting the team that we have, and couldn't be happier with the team that we have working as hard as they are. It's been a lot lately, as everyone knows, with COVID. People are doing everything they can and all well-intentioned, and will continue to make you Upper Perk proud. Those are the goals.
Did anybody have any quick questions or comments from the board? We saw them on Saturday, but okay. Next on the agenda then is an update on transportation. Miss Jen Malone, who is the Upper Perk Transportation Coordinator, and Mr. Henry Sykes from Christ Transportation. Thank you.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Figured we haven't seen you since September. Things are changing a little bit. So we thought we'd come up and just give you a little overview of what we're dealing with now. It's a little more difficult than it was back then. So you'll see September, that's basically what I showed you back in September. We were really cutting the line. We were pretty close. 62 vehicles. We had the 60 drivers in place. We hired some. We had some leave to go on to bigger and better things, which we're all happy for. But of course, we'll miss them. So here we are in January, and this is just January's totals. This is not October, November, December. This is just January. We're up a little bit in runs. We're up in schools just a bit because we have added a couple. We are now at 62 vehicles, but only 47 CDL drivers average daily. So when I say that, we cancel a run or two every now and again because we do have staff in the office who can drive. So Henry's on the road, Holly's on the road. Today I was on the road. So we're all doing what we can to ensure our kids get to and from school every day. So we are down one van driver, which hopefully that changes Monday. We're working on that. So cross fingers. But that's where I was today. So we have had to cancel 3 runs for 2 days at a time each. That's hard. And I know it is. It's hard for the community. It's hard for us to even fathom. It's hard for the buildings. They take on the extra parents, the extra students coming in the morning and leaving. I understand. And we had the one run that was canceled for 1 day. So that's a big jump from where we were in September. My fear is it's going to jump a little more. So that's why we wanted to be out here, just make you all aware. We are doing what we can. And they haven't changed anything with trying to recruit. We're all out there trying to recruit drivers. Anyone who comes in and wants to be an aide, you sure you don't want to be a van driver? You sure don't want to drive a bus? Like, let's train you up here, you know? And like I said, I even started picking up some of it. So we're doing what we can, but we just wanted to get out ahead of it before it gets too bad. Because we do have a couple ideas, and a couple ideas have been given to me, and we've looked at it, Henry and I, and talked about it. Some of it okay, some of it maybe not so okay. Double runs is a big suggestion from a lot of people, and I love the idea. We have double runs running. We have middle school, high school running, and elementary backs that up. So we can't run a double run for our middle school and high school students. It's just not possible. Can we run double runs for elementary? Sure. Our runs run about an hour, hour and 15 minutes. Some a little longer, like our non-pubs are a little longer than that because we are trying to combine and we are trying to condense. So my fear is these parents work, they're elementary students, they pay daycare, all those things. Time adds money. I understand that. They won't get picked up till much after 9, and then they'll get, to school by 10. Same thing with the afternoon. We run a double elementary run. If we're not getting kids home till 4:30, almost 5 o'clock now, they won't get home until after 6 or around 6. So that's upsetting. I don't know if any of you have any other thoughts to that,
Ms. Malone, just to clarify, so what you're saying, I understand it. I want to make sure that everyone understands. The
Yes.
double run would be after the bus has done their middle school, high school run.
Correct.
Then they've gone and picked up their elementary run on the same bus number. Then they would go pick up the
Extra.
run for the elementary that didn't have a driver.
Correct.
So that would all be pushed back at least an hour and 15.
Yes,
And at the end of the
Yes.
day, if that was going to be a solution to get students home from school, someone at the school would stay with the students on whatever bus was there
right.
as a group. And then when that bus, the first bus that could get them would then pick them up and get to that point.
Yep.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify.
No, but then we are also asking our drivers who may not know those runs to pick that up at a last minute, which is hard. I mean, I only did a double run today in the morning and a single in the afternoon, but to then, like, I looked at it for 3 days before I did it. Some of these runs are 26 stops deep, so it's a long run and it's a lot. So if the timing were better on it, I'd feel a lot better about it. I don't feel good about that. I have had a lot of suggestions about, well, what about the buses that are out there? Have them run around and pick up extra kids, overload, get them loaded on, fill them up. We're full. We're full because I don't have drivers. So we're already maxing our capacities. To add too many more, maybe on a couple buses, sure, we'd have a little room. But definitely our elementary, we don't. So some of those things don't always coincide with what we have going on. There was one other suggestion, and it was a thought that I've heard through directors in other areas, was planned bus. So if you're already down 3 drivers for next week, plan that ahead of time. Get out in front of it, give everyone a lot of notice about it. But that's hard because how do you know who's going to call out on Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday? Those things are hard. So I'm here basically to let you all know what is happening and to see if anyone does have any suggestions or, at a later date would have any ideas or suggestions. I mean, we're all creative people. We don't think outside our box. So for somebody on the outside to think outside, and I encourage families also. Always, if you have an idea, reach out. Questions?
Hi, and thank you. I know this is the hardest time, especially when there's, we've got COVID, we've got all kinds of crazy things. And so thank you. And thank you for running your runs, both of you.
Yep.
And the drivers that are in, we all appreciate it. I know we do. I was talking to somebody yesterday, I don't remember who, but their kids go to Quakertown. And they said that obviously every district has issues right now, and
Yes.
we're not the only ones.
Nope.
And they said that Quakertown had rolling week, like a rolling week where this bus isn't gonna pick your kids up. And so it's more planned.
Yep. I did speak to their director the other day.
Perfect.
Or their coordinator the other day.
I didn't have all the details, but
Yeah.
I figured I could at least throw it out there.
Yeah, I had that suggestion
Okay.
from the group that I'm involved in, the Montgomery Bucks group.
I kind
And
of figured.
I spoke to her about that to see what their thought process was. They have 2 people in the office, just like we have with Henry and Holly. Very important. Sometimes they're around because when we do have emergencies, if we have the mechanic out on the road, Henry's out on the road, Holly's out on the road, I'm out on the road.
Yep.
There's no one on radios. There's no communication. One of us has to figure out how to get somewhere quick to help someone else. We do fall behind on communication with parents in that respect also if we're not in the office because can't be doing it while we're driving a vehicle. So their thought process was they were having 1 or 2 people call off sick every week. So why don't we just cancel 3 runs?
Mhm.
This Monday, we'll tell you next Monday what 3 runs are canceled and they'll be canceled for the week.
Right. At least it would be orderly.
Yeah,
That's what I was
it's a
thinking.
constant and they roll exactly like you said. They pick 3 buses and it's random. I don't know if they pull out of a hat, but
Yeah.
they'll pick 3 buses and then 3 buses and they try not to double dip.
Right.
There has been time where they've had the 2 people in the office have to go out with those 3 people
Yeah.
because 5 had called out. Sometimes they've had 6 call out and then they would have to actually cancel another run at the last minute. But the thought process was, if we're averaging 2 people out a week, 3 people out a week, let's just cancel those runs.
Right.
Let's get those drivers to be able to help cover if other drivers go out. Our office staff can stay in-house. So if they're needed, they're here.
Mhm.
And it sounded like a great idea. I mean, I feel bad canceling any run at any time. but we don't know sometimes till 4:30 and 5 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
And I put that out as just as fast as I can.
Yes.
Sometimes we know the night before, which is good, but I mean, that's Quaker
You're sick in the
Town's-
morning, you're sick in the morning.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, that's with anybody. You
Yep.
call off of work because you get up and you don't feel well.
Yep.
You know, but it puts us in a place. It puts all of us in a place, you know,
Yes.
when we're a little short like this.
Well, if there's anything we can help you with, short
you.
of driving buses, because no.
I was gonna say, wait, we're training.
No, no.
We're training, we're hiring.
Please let us know. And
Thank you.
I appreciate the update. I
Thank
really
you.
do. That's great. Thank you. And our fingers are crossed.
Yeah, we keep crossing them. We do daily.
I have a question about when Quakertown cancels these runs for the week, how's that affect the schooling for the kids? Do they then make it dependent upon the parents to get the kids to school?
Yes.
Or do the kids go virtual for a week or combination of both?
Combination of both kind of, she said, because they let them know a week in advance, it gives the parent the extra time to plan for that to happen. It was harder in the beginning, but now they've been doing it since the beginning of December. So they're on like their 6th week of this. So with giving them the week's notice, the parents then have a way to plan for what's coming. She said there are some students so that do go virtual. They'll stay home and do their asynchronous and stuff like that, but yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go to the administration now. How would we handle that? Do you think we'd be able to cope with it? I hate to put you on the spot, but people are thinking this in their minds, so.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we're at that point yet.
No,
I
I
mean,
don't
it
think-
sounds like,
I don't-
it sounds like in that situation, they could only have 2 drivers call out and then you have a driver sitting with no run and you've told the family to be home. I understand the planning a week out.
Correct.
If I was told that my kids, I needed to find rides, then I would be calling Ms. McGinnis, say, hey, can you pick my kids up and get them there and that type of thing. I get that piece and I acknowledge what you're saying in terms of the, as noticed, because I know we talked to one day, it was 4:30 in the afternoon. You're like, we're not getting a magic driver to call in. I mean, there's
Yeah.
no one there. So let's get it out. And then the next day we got one in the morning, we got it out as quickly as we can.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think the answer there is going to be much easier at the secondary than at the elementary. Because of the capability and what's currently going on in the buildings. I don't know if we'd be able to, because it wouldn't be universal, there's not a student from every bus in every classroom type of thing. So that would be changing every day, every time, teacher's class would have one kid out or no kids out and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not sensing in our conversations that we're there yet,
No, no,
but that's just a potential solution that's out there that another district is trying.
yeah. If we get.
When I
to
look
that
at those
point.
numbers, which I'm not downplaying 3 runs for 2 days and 1 run for 2 days compared to 3 runs every day for 6 weeks, it's much different place.
Yeah, we're not canceling runs every day of the week. We're able to pick up with Henry, Holly, a mechanic, me, on the days that are really crunchers. So I think if we were in that place that they're in, they're there. They're down that many drivers that they're there, and then they have to make do, and they have to do what they need to do. So it's a thought process for later. If we would get to that point, I mean, we're all hoping we don't. But yeah, that's a good idea. It's a good thought to put out.
Is there anything we can do to backfill you guys when you're on the bus routes?
Well, we're out really early in the morning, so that's the one good thing. Like today, I was back by 9:30-ish. So I'm not out there the whole kit and caboodle time. And then this afternoon, I only had the 1 run down and back to Fort Washington, so I was only gone 2 hours. So it's
Would
not
that
so
be an
bad.
option? Maybe have somebody come in the office. So there's more bus drivers?
Yes. Yes, definitely. Yep, either on my side or on theirs. The radios are an issue in the morning. That's usually what I do if I'm not helping in any way. I'm in my office making sure I'm on the radio. So this way, if they're calling in and they had to stop and they don't have a student or something happens with a student, I need to call a school. That's what they radio in for. They're radioing in because they need help with something. So we'll do that from the fly. We did it this morning, but it's much easier when you have somebody in front of a computer with all of your information and can call a school and all those other things. You can't really do it when you're driving. So yes, it would be nice to have somebody in the office every day.
I would volunteer for that if you need me to help.
Wonderful, thank you.
Give me a call.
Awesome, thank you. I appreciate that, Raya. Thanks.
Any other board members have any questions, comment? Go ahead, Mr. Elliott.
Thank you. So just to go back to the comment that was just brought up about, somebody to man the radios, is that a position that you're thinking about trying to get somebody to fill? Like, I know that CDL drivers at a premium. But is that a position that you thought about, like trying to bring somebody in just to help that? And what's the thought process there? And I do have other questions.
Well, we do have somebody else at the office that does transportation, and she's more than capable of answering the phones and manning all of that. And she has the computer in front of her. She's got all the students' information, so she can handle that. It's not that we need somebody hired for that. It's the premium is the CDL drivers. I mean, we can bring as many people into the office as we can, but if they're not CDL drivers, we're still stuck at the same numbers we have.
And I would assume that, you anticipate further delays and stuff like that. And I'm assuming that would be attributed to the fact that when you started off the year, you had 50 CDL drivers. Now you only have 47. Right.
Correct.
Just a question. Obviously, it's, maybe you don't need necessarily a license to get a van. You ever thought about like getting like 3 extra vans? I don't know how many extra vans you would need to fill for a bus. I mean, I imagine it'd be like 3 or 4,
Oh,
right?
no.
Big vans, like 5, 6. Okay. So it would be an impractical solution then is what
It
I'm,
would, yeah.
okay. All right. It's
Most
just a
of the
thought.
runs, they're running about between 55 and 65.
Okay.
So elementaries, we kicked up to about 63, 65. I
So
think
like
our
4 kids per
largest-
seat in a van. I'm kidding.
Yeah, if
No.
we did the clown car thing, I think we'd be okay with
Yeah.
6 or 7.
All right. I didn't think it was reasonable, but I just,
No.
I wanted to say it
definitely.
anyway.
Yeah.
So, all right. Thank you.
Did you have another question? I thought you.
That was, I leave them all together.
Oh, okay. Yes, Ms. Pennypacker.
I was going to include this in the legislative liaison report, but it's pretty pertinent to this conversation. On January 4th, the U.S. Department of Transportation gave states the option of waiving the portion of the commercial driver's license skills test that requires applicants. You're aware of that?
Mhm.
They don't have to do the under the hood
Yep,
engine. Okay, so.
everybody was cheering in the background. when
Yeah,
that came
so is that helpful?
It doesn't really affect us because our drivers, when they get new hires come in, they have to do under the hood. But as far as research goes, that's a federal mandate. This is a state mandate. So they don't have to do under the hood for research. So it's only our new hires. So it's better that they know under the hood anyway to begin with, and then they don't have to worry about that after the first year. So it's just at the initial that they have to do that. So once they pass that, it's pretty much non-existent.
Yeah, but there was a lot of people, though, I heard in the background in my groups going, oh, that'll help because that's the hardest part of the test is the under the hood. So it would get people through a little quicker if they didn't have to do that part. So, yeah.
Do you have anyone in the pipeline? Like, are you in the middle of training anybody with the C or
I
CDL?
wish. I
Not
really
at
Not
all.
wish.
currently,
It's
no.
not current. It's really tough to get people in.
So I'm just going to flat out ask that, what can we, the board, do to help this situation?
Tell everyone we're hiring.
Yeah,
Brag
that's
us
pretty much-
up.
That's pretty much it. It's just to get out there and let them know we're hiring. If they're willing and able to come do it. We got great trainers.
Mhm.
All right.
I tried to talk a lady that I met at the grocery store the other day into, she's a bus driver for a different district. I'm like, oh no, you come here. Yeah, you
We've
come
gotten
here.
a couple of those. So, yeah, we've gotten a couple of those.
Well, please do come back and let us know if there's anything that you need from us.
Thank you.
We understand how difficult it is. I work up in Allentown. Our elementary bus, our one bus is almost always 40 minutes late
Yeah.
for our afternoon run. We
Yeah.
just keep them in the gym and sit there with them.
Yeah.
I know it's a problem everywhere, but if there's anything we can do to make it less of a problem here, we'd like to hear.
Thank you.
If I could
appreciate that.
add one thing, the only
Absolutely.
thing I think that could be said, and maybe today's not the greatest day, but just be patient too. I mean, I'm impressed with the work that's being done in the department. They're working hard. These are the people that are calling me. We're on a text chain at 4 a.m. every weather call. These are the people that are here. They're pushing it. They're doing everything they can to make this happen. So please pass that along to the staff that we know that they're doing the best that they can do.
Absolutely.
Communication is always a challenge. We know we get people that are upset that they didn't get a message, and we acknowledge that, and we'll continue to work on it, and maybe some extra hands will help. A little patience, I think, would help as well, because I know you guys are under a lot of stress, and we want to acknowledge that. Jen, the fact that you're doing a run and you're an employee of Upper Perk and not of Christ is huge. But you're also, I'm not surprised, because you're also out there doing directing traffic and all that kind of stuff. Right, I know.
Yeah.
I know, but
We
I
do
mean,
what we
there's
need to
all
do to
hands
get
on
it
deck,
done.
and I think probably part of Dan's goals next year will be a CDL. We'll work that in there.
Most definitely.
So,
I think we're going to start that sooner than later.
Yeah, tomorrow. We'll get on it.
but anyway, again, not perfect, but I know you guys are really trying, and we
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thanks. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So before we move on to public comments, Mr. Summers wants to make a Sunshine Act announcement.
Thank you, Madam President. The board did meet in an executive session immediately prior to the meeting tonight for the purpose of discussing matters of personnel involving a professional employee as well as a support staff employee. And that concludes the Sunshine Act announcement. And just with regard to public comments, there are 2 public comment opportunities on the agenda tonight. We will now take public comments on action items. The action items are personnel items, and there are 3 specific action items on the agenda. There is a 2-minute limit for public comment. I have signs that I will hold up indicating when there is 1 minute left and 30 seconds left, as well as when the 2 minutes has concluded. Then there is a subsequent public comment opportunity at the end of the meeting for anyone to comment on any other matters of concern involving the school district or the board beyond just the items that are on the agenda tonight.
So is there any members of the public here who wish to speak on an agenda item? No, that would be the end of, but absolutely at the end. Sure. No? All right. Going once. All right. Thank you. Then we are going to move on to the personnel report.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the personnel report as written.
Second.
All right. I have a motion and a second. Any comments from the board? No? Okay. No? All right. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We're going to move on to our action items. The first action item is a motion to adopt the accelerated budget opt-out resolution as per the recommendation from the Finance Committee.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
And that is certifying that the real estate tax rate will not increase by more than the index. So we have a motion and a second. Board comments, please.
Just so I say the Act 1 index, our adjusted index is 4.2.
Yes, the Act 1 index is 3.1, but for us, it is 4.2, 3.4. It's 3.4 for the Act 1, but our adjusted is 4.2. I think I said that backwards.
Yeah, that's correct.
What's the stub ratio?
Stub ratio is minus 1.13%.
So then the tax increase would be about 3.1 tops. Not the
So 0 equals, oh, go ahead.
0.03.
3.03. That would be the max then. $3.03, I think. Error.
Correct.
Okay, 3.03.
Did everybody hear that? 3.03. Any other questions regarding the opt-out? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Motion to authorize Doug Kenwood, Director of Facilities and Operations, to accept the 2021 COPS Office School Violence Prevention Program grant on behalf of the district.
Second.
The district has been awarded $60,000 to fund 75% of the 3-year cost for a new district-wide emergency notification system. Any questions or comments? I see a light. I can't see whose it is, though.
Right.
Does that come with any strings attached?
No. No. No, and my comment is to thank Andrea and Doug for, we're one of, I believe, 15 districts in the state that received grant money for that. And that is awesome. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments from the board? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. The last motion is to accept an engineering service proposal in the amount of $9,500 plus reimbursable expenses from Barry Islet and Associates to provide site design, bid phase services, and construction phase services for the middle school stormwater management basin stabilization project.
Make that motion.
Second.
It is a mouthful. All right. Ms. Hopkins?
Why is this needed if the middle school construction was just completed in 2019? Wasn't this part of the construction?
Okay, so I can answer that. All right, so when we changed, it's a bit of a long story, but I'll give you the short version is when we originally did, it's a detention basin, not a retention basin. So the water's not supposed to stand in there. So when we had our facilities were changed over from the old director to Doug, no one ever told anyone that there was a difference, and it's always had water in it. So we also, I don't know if you've all noticed, but there's a spray irrigation system. So the water comes off the roof, goes down under the ground through piping and goes into the basin. And then at intervals, known only to Mr. Kenwood now. No, I'm kidding. Sprays the rest of the property. There's piping all throughout the property, and it irrigates and gets rid of the water out of the basin. So in the basin, as it was originally designed, there are plants that are supposed to be growing in there. They go dormant in the wintertime, most of the long time, but they help to soak up the water and dissipate the water, what would be left in there that isn't spray irrigated. So unfortunately, our plants died. And I mean, I've got questions now as to why originally was this plant design in there. That seems like a lot of upkeep to me. So the reason this is important is because as part of the middle school project, we had an NPDES permit. And with that permit, the Montgomery County Conservation District oversees that. One of the parts of that is that basin and how it works. So if it's not working, we can't close out our NPDES permit. Now, the reason that's important is because you'll hear in facilities, we have issues with drainage on the softball fields, the high school softball fields. And in order to fix them, which we have plans for, and we're ready to go with that, but we can't do that until we close out the old NPDES permit because we need a new one. And that's all based on how much land you're disturbing, and there's a lot that goes into that. So the proposal and what this $9,500 is for is to redesign the other thing that the Montgomery County Conservation District will allow in order to close out that permit. Instead of replanting the plants that are probably going to die again, because that's a stupid idea, there will be like a liner, a fabric liner, and then it'll be filled with river rock. So the reason we need to do this is because the river rock and doing that is going to go over our bid threshold. So this project's going to have to go out to bid. So in this case, what we're paying for with this $9,500 is basically all the expenses to redesign the correct way, get the bid package together, administer the bid package, gather the bids, award the bids, make sure that they're all apples to apples because they're an engineering firm and that's what they do. Anybody have any questions about that? That was the short version.
Do we have a ballpark estimate as to what the actual project is going to cost?
Not yet.
We don't even have like a guess.
Well, I mean, we've talked about it a little bit in facilities. With the River Rocks over $21,000, the actual, and then there's the labor to do it. And
Has the
design
committee,
and all.
has the
Thank you.
committee gone back to the architect Breslin to find out why it wasn't designed correctly to begin with?
No, it wasn't that it wasn't designed correctly. It's just that whoever made the decision to use that, I think so. Yeah, right. I don't know that it's poor, but no, I think so. I mean, now that we're looking at a brand new school and we have $50,000 worth more probably to
Yeah.
fix it.
That would be
And we have to fix it.
prior board then,
Yes,
before 2017.
wasn't me. Okay. All right. So any other questions?
Sure.
Go
So, one of the things that's important in any construction project is making sure that you make it easy to use. And it seems like it could have been a better system to watch. And then, obviously you want the gatekeepers and nothing, because I know it's not you, right? But you want the gatekeepers who are in charge of those things to make sure that they're following through. So, and maintaining things. And that's one of the things that's so important. And I like the idea of the River Rocks because you don't have to maintain it. You don't have to keep it. I mean, obviously you still want to, be cognizant of things and stuff like that, but it's not so active as the last one that was designed to be. So while it might have been nice with the flowers and the plants or whatever, because, hydrate, understanding that we have to do this, especially because of how it impacts the softball field and how we need to have equitable fields for our kids. And one of the big spots there is that softball field that needs to be addressed. So this is part of that. And like so many things, it's not just one thing. One thing impacts so many other things within the district. It's so interconnected. And this is just one of those interconnected parts that we got to fix.
Yep, unfortunate.
And
Very
thank you for your
unfortunate.
detailed and
You're
wonderful
welcome.
explanation. I
You're
appreciate that.
welcome. I have gotten a very good education too.
Any other questions? All right, seeing none, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Great. So we are going to move on now to the committee reports. And first up is Special Education and Pupil Services Committee, which is me. So the Pupil Services and Special Ed Committee meeting was held on Monday, January 24th. The meeting was dedicated to examining the district's SEL, social emotional learning curriculum, and the available student supports. Dr. Farina provided clarity on what SEL is and its purpose. The committee received information on the progress of implementing school-wide positive behavior interventions and supports, or PBIS, as we've all been hearing for the last few years at the elementary level, and plans to extend PBIS at the secondary level. The SEL curriculum of Second Steps was discussed. Second Steps is an evidence-based set of classroom instruction, and the materials and the curriculum were actually available for us at the meeting. It was really nice. So you could actually see the actual work that the teachers are seeing, the questions that they can ask, how it's laid out. It was really a wonderful presentation. The committee also heard information on COMCAT, which is a second tier intervention. It's a tier 2 intervention that addresses barriers to personal wellness and academic learning for students with social, emotional, and behavioral challenges. So while PBIS is school-wide, COMCAT is a second tier for students who are exhibiting some issues. The presentation then concluded with a look at the year 1 implementation of restorative practices. I'm really looking forward to hearing more about that. We have several administrators and staff who are going through some training with that, and they have promised to come back when they're done and give us some more information on that. Just a note, Special Ed and Pupil Services Committee meetings will be moving from the 4th Monday of the month to the 3rd Thursday. So the next meeting will be Thursday, February 17th. 2022 at 7 p.m. That concludes my report. Does anybody have any questions? No? I highly recommend, if you get a chance, please watch the video. It is up already. They did a really nice presentation. It'll answer almost any question you have about SEL. It was really good. So, all right. So if there's no questions, I'm going to move on to Curriculum and Instruction Committee. Mr. Elliott.
Thank you, Mrs. McGinnis. So in the Curriculum and Instruction Committee meeting the other night, we talked about the new pathways to graduation, which I'm going to ask Dr. Farina a question about in just a second. These new graduation avenues will be rolled out to all of our high school students over the next few weeks. However, they only impact the freshmen, the sophomore, and the juniors, right, Dr. Farina? Not the seniors.
Beginning in the class of 2023.
Beginning in the class of 2023. Yeah, and below. So if you're not in the class of 2023 or out, it's still the current ones, but otherwise it'll be changing. But changing in a good way because there's more pathways to graduation. Not everybody learns in the same way. Not everybody tests in the same way. And this really opens it up for our students. Like, hey, if this is your skill set and this is how you are really, this is what you're good at, like you can find an avenue for that. So it's actually a really exciting sort of thing. And I was glad that we dove into that. Speaking of changes, next year, honors physics becomes AP physics. So college credits for that one. And professional development day is tomorrow for our staff. Our building leaders have been putting a lot of time and effort into this to make it rewarding and enriching for our teachers. One of the things that they're going to be talking about tomorrow is the QPR stuff. That's 2 out? That's 2 out. Okay. So I got a little excited about that. No, I like the QPR. That's the question, persuade, and refer. That's like suicide prevention. They do a lot of stuff with that. And I think that's important. And it's nice to see, taking putting an emphasis on making students feel secure and being there to support them when they need it. So any questions about the Curriculum and Instruction Committee meeting? That was to go with Mrs. McGinnis. We are moving those meetings to your Thirsty Knowledge Thursday, Thirsty Knowledge third Thursday of every month. They'll be here. Curriculum and Instruction will be first at 6, and then Pupil Services and Special Education Committee, which is a mouthful, but really is a great committee. So come on out for those or check out the videos. Thank you, Mrs. McGinnis.
Thank you, Mr. Elliott. We're going to move on to Mr. Hipser with the Extracurricular Committee report.
All right. Thank you, Judy. The reorganized Extracurricular Committee met last Thursday, January 20th, here at the Ed Center. In old business, our request to recognize and celebrate some of the more successful fall sports programs came to fruition tonight. Of course, this recognition should in no way diminish or overlook the efforts and accomplishments of all of our programs. Participation in extracurricular programs is an integral part of a total school experience. As far as the committee meeting goes, the focus was placed upon high school and middle school gaming clubs. The middle school advisors provided an in-depth summary of their activities and participation levels. The high school advisor, Taylor Gregory, brought with him 2 of his students. These students enthusiastically shared news of their club experiences. Esports has grown exponentially in recent years with opportunities for inter-school competition, college scholarships, and even professional leagues. Our committee recommends continued support for this fledgling organization as participation levels continue to grow. Starting in February, the Extracurricular Committee will be switching our meetings to the 4th Monday of each month. Our next meeting will be held Monday, February 28th at 6 p.m. here at the Ed Center.
If I can add that we did extend the invitation for February 28th to our elementary instrumental program and choral program. So there is interest from the teachers. They hopefully are available, but that's on tap. The invitation's been sent and they've gotten back to working on details. And the question was, how many elementary kids do you want here? So I said the preference is to have them in person, but that, they were happy to participate. So that invitation for elementary instrumental and choral to Mr. Bennett and Mrs. Arnold has been extended, and we're trying to firm that up.
Fantastic. These meetings are very informative and very positive influence. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Hipser. We are going to move on to the Facilities Committee chaired by Melanie Cunningham.
Thank you. Okay, I will try to make it brief since I've already beat your ears off. We did have another Giza update during our meeting on January 20th. And Giza project's going along. We're working on, waiting for equipment to come in, doing it as we can. I will touch on the pool issue. But I just want to say that Mr. Kenwood, because of the changes we've made to how he can control things from his phone, since he wasn't here. Yay for the Giza project, because he could fix that ventilation system right up and calmed everything down, or didn't let it go off to the rest of the building. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Again, I won't belabor the point about the detention basin since I've already given you an earful about it. We did talk about the grant award for the panic system. And again, thank you, Dr. Farina and Doug, for working really hard on that. That was apparently a very difficult grant application. So in new business, we talked about IT whiteboards and projector installation projects. So we seem to be running up against the bid threshold on quite a few items. This would be one of them. We have about 80 classrooms in the 3 elementary schools that need the whiteboard above, the projector goes above the whiteboard. And we have the equipment, but the labor needs to go out to bid, unfortunately. So we also will need an engineer or architect to write the bid. We're going to have to pay prevailing wage. And some of that's in the IT budget for this year. And we'll work on a bid in spring and hopefully spend that money this year and get that done. And we also talked about coming up at some point, we're going to need some roofs. And I hate to say that word out loud. Marble Elementary, although it seems like it's still a new school because it still looks beautiful, it is 30 years old and it will be needing some roof work. High school, some of the areas on the roof in the high school are getting really old. And we already knew when we did the 4-5 conversion, the middle school conversion to 4-5, that there's an area, the admin roof is going to need some replacing. So hopefully we're working on getting some kind of a roof consultant. So maybe we can have an outside opinion of what we need to do, what kind of costs are involved. But that won't happen until summer of 2023, because summer of 2022 is going to be chock full of new boilers and new things that need to be put in that time period when there's no one in the buildings. Okay, we had a request to name, not a naming of facility, but I don't really want to go into it because the person who is asking it to be named for doesn't know about it. So we're still talking about that. We also had a community partner application from the Upper Park Takedown Club. And we said that we don't have any community partners right now. We don't really believe that it's time to do that, what with us working on the policy for facility usage. We also had a summer camp request, but as I said, there's a million things going on in the summer, and this is not a good time to do that either, and having other people in the building. Other than that, our next meeting is February 28th, and that's also moving. And I believe that's a Monday. Does anyone have any questions? Ryan?
I remember sitting here at the 25th year for Marlboro Elementary, and we were discussing the roof and repairing the roof. So is this a different section of the roof or the same section of the roof?
No, part of the Giza project is working on that leak that's been leaking apparently at Marlboro Elementary for 30 years.
The barrel roof?
Yes.
That's been leaking since day one?
We think we have that fixed. So, but again, 30 years, I mean, you know your own house roof.
Can we not use that architect in the future for any other projects, please?
I'm fine with that.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Anything else? Anyone else?
I was just going to ask a very similar sort of question because I know that area there at Marlboro has been leaking. So has it been holding up all right this year?
Everyone has your fingers crossed and your toes crossed.
Okay, good. No,
Okay.
that's awesome.
Working on it.
That's awesome. So no, thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, that will do it for my facilities report.
Do you want to go ahead and just move on
I
to
will be
finance?
happy to do that.
Thank you.
Let me get to my next pile of papers here. Oops, I'll get that later. Okay, so we met on January 18th for finance. And let's see, so we talked about the opt-out resolution, which we just approved. And we went over some charter school cost reviews, which we had talked about quite a few times now. That's something near and not dear to my heart. Let's see, so we're still okay. There's a little bit more out of what we were hoping we wouldn't spend. We budgeted a little extra because we knew it was going to, where we're going to need it. But we haven't reached that threshold yet, which is good. Let's hope we don't. We also talked about, Ryan asked about the stub ratio, which is minus 1.13. And the stub ratio, or the tax, will be based on Green Lane's number, which is 60.97540. We will be talking about, I know it's a long number. Stub ratio is also near and dear to my heart. We talked about PSERS. We talked about that we'll be going over the budget because now it's budgeting time. So they're working on getting expenses from the buildings and a lot of expenses together. So there'll be more about that. And we'll probably have a couple extra finance meetings. I think that's about it. Anyone have any questions? Oh, and last night, the MCIU had for school board members, CFOs, superintendents, a 2-hour make your head spin. I know a lot about it and my head was still spinning. So they had a Zoom meeting that Peg and Dan and I listened to here at the Ed Center. It was fun. Yeah, it was fun. I went home at 10:30 and yeah, my brain was, so thank you, MCIU. And Dan for hosting. And our next meeting is February 22nd.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Cunningham. We are going to move to the policy committee chaired by Peg Pennypacker.
Thank you, Mrs. McGinnis. The policy committee meetings resumed on January 28th or January 18th with the primary objective to continue reviewing and update policies as necessary. The committee has begun reviewing the 300s policies, administrative employees. The committee will also review policies that are brought to its attention that may require an immediate review or update, not necessarily in the sequence or order that the committee is currently reviewing. The 707 facilities use policy will continue to be under review as it will take several meetings and conversations to adequately examine and update this policy. To continue review and revision of policies, the policy committee will be attempting to hold 2 meetings per month in the next few months. One meeting will be the regularly scheduled monthly meeting to continue revision of policy 707, and the second meeting will be virtual and used to review and revise other policies as we continue to work through the order. The policy committee may determine at any point that 2 meetings may not be necessary. However, currently 2 meetings have been scheduled for beginning in March, April, May, and June. This time I will defer to Dr. Farina and Mr. Summers for any additions. Anything you want to add? No. The next policy committee meeting is scheduled for February 22nd at 7 o'clock. This continues my report.
Thank you, Mrs. Pennypacker. We are going to move on to the communications committee and Mr. Mike Elliott.
So the communications committee is getting fired back up. Myself and Nikki Gum, our communications director, have been discussing ideas and what we'll be doing at our meeting. Now, the meetings are going to take place before the board workshops, Thursday nights, 6 to 6:45. And at the upcoming meeting, Nikki and I were talking about some of the branding things for the district, also looking at social media metrics And then we'll, kind of figure out if there's something else that we want to discuss. If anybody has any ideas, they could email me. That's even anybody out there in the community. Email address is melliott, 2 L's, 2 T's @upsd.org. 2 T's always throw people off. So does anyone have any questions about the Communications Committee? Hearing none, I yield my time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Elliott. Next up, we have the Western Montgomery Career and Technology Center, Mr. McCarrick.
Yes, most of the information I'll give tonight, I already gave once already, but I'd like to brag about our students and the Western Center. At our last meeting, I mentioned that down at the Western Center, we had a couple competitions going on down there with diesel technology. They went to competitions at the Pennsylvania College of Technology. And one of our UP students took first place in trailer inspection station competition there. Kudos to him. Kudos to Jaden. In the Culinary Arts program, there is an organization called the Careers Through Culinary Arts. They're a nationwide program. They do many scholarships, competitions across the country. There are 6 locations. Philadelphia is one of those. In Philadelphia, they serve 1,600 students, 26 teachers, 9 schools, and 4 counties. And they give out a couple $100,000, if not millions of dollars worth of scholarships. They had a cooking competition recently, and they had 17 spots that were awarded in the Philadelphia area. A couple of those spots were taken by some Upper Perk students. 3 of them were juniors. They were Aaron Weber, Ashley Culp, and Legacy Vasquez. Our kids are doing great, not only in sports, but in their education and their educational pursuits. Another thing to brag about is one of our Upper Perk seniors will be graduating from the Western Center from the Culinary Arts program. That is Jaden Mowbray. He's been accepted to the Culinary Institute of America, Johnson & Wales, and Penn State. And he's been awarded various scholarships for those different organizations. Once again, well done. Western Center is a great educational opportunity for our kids. If you don't want to follow the tradition of going to school and going to college or going into the service or something like that, or just going into the workforce, well, actually, if you go to the Western Center, you can go right into the workforce and you've got a head start. Consider it for your kids. I know some of our kids are going there. We have friends whose sons and daughters are going there. They're doing an excellent job. Kudos to the Western Center and kudos to Upper Perk for our students sending them there.
Mr. McCarrick, if I could, I don't know if you've said it in the past, but I have requested, and we are in the planning stages for the senior recognition ceremony that has traditionally been at Potts Grove Middle School, and last year was at Springford outside, to be here in Upper Perk on May 25th. So we're bringing it to Upper Perk on that day for all 3 schools to be there. So we're still working on it.
That's wonderful. That's great. That also reminds me, you know what? The Western Center, everything is non-traditional nowadays. You'd be amazed. Last year at the graduation ceremony, there was a young woman who graduated from the carpentry program. And we were talking to her for a little bit during that evening. And when she enrolled in that, she had no idea what she was really going to do in there. She had no concept of what the carpentry program was going to be or the construction program was. She loved it. She plans on starting her own business. She's already out there. She was already out there trying to get apprenticeships and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Mr. McCarrick. Next, we have the Montgomery County Intermediate Unit, and that would be me. The MCIU Board of Directors met Wednesday, January 26th, right before the symposium. The meeting began by welcoming 8 new directors to the board. Eric Gooding from Malley Inc. provided the board with the independent audit for the 2021 school year. No internal control related matters were identified, and the IU received a clean, unqualified opinion. Dr. Speaker reviewed the MCIU's organizational goals for 21-22 school year, which were updated to include strategies and the metrics of success. The board approved 24 new hires just for the month of January. We also approved the 2022-2023 district services budget in the amount of $1,854,000 $1,854,830. If you remember what that budget is, that's the budget that we, the sending, whatever you call it, sending participating districts, that's our contribution, which is about 1% of their total budget. The approved budget represents no increase over the 21-22 year, and UPSD's contribution next year will be $34,920, which is a decrease of $104. So we saved 104. Woohoo! And our next meeting will be February 23rd. Any questions on the CIU?
That seems like a really good price for all the services that we enjoy from them.
Yeah, I agree. The IU is a wonderful agency. I very much enjoyed them on my 4th year now there. And I agree. They do a lot for all the districts, and they have really reached out, and they do a lot of work in other IU's territories. The MCIU is very well thought of. So now we're going to move on to Mrs. Pennypacker and the legislative liaison report, which should be very lengthy.
Well, I tried to cut it down. So thank you, Mrs. McGinnis. The MCIU Legislative Committee meetings and the PSBA monthly exchange sessions have reconvened for the new year. I already touched on one of the federal issues with the update of the transportation, and that was the waiver that was handed down by the U.S. Department of Transportation. So already mentioned that. On January 7th, the U.S. Department of Agriculture announced an adjustment in school meal reimbursements to help schools continue to serve children healthy and nutritious meals. I'm kind of just giving you the headlines, so to speak. So if you have any questions, board members, feel free to reach out. Statewide, on January 18th, Senate Bill 324 was presented to the governor for signature. The bill aims to keep students on track to graduate high school who are either experiencing homelessness or are in foster care by requiring a receiving school entity to designate a point person for the student. Should the student not be able to meet criteria for graduating from the school entity, despite exhaustive and multiple alternatives, but the student has been determined to meet basic graduation requirements as provided in the school code, the Pennsylvania Department of Education may issue to the student a statewide secondary school diploma known as the Keystone Diploma. On January 10th, the House unanimously passed House Bill 2045. The bill would create a statewide early literacy program. The Department of Education, Pennsylvania Department of Education, would work with school districts to address student reading needs in a program focused on the science of reading and evidence-based reading instructional practice that integrates listening, speaking, reading, spelling, and writing. The bill was amended earlier to make it voluntary for school entities to participate and to make it voluntary for school entities to include in their professional education plans training in the science of reading. On January 11th, the House unanimously passed House Bill 2148. The bill allows a political subdivision that pays to advertise a public notice in a newspaper to also advertise that notice on the internet. And in the event that the newspaper fails to publish the advertisement in a timely manner, provides that the internet advertisement is considered timely published, provided the political subdivision can show proof that it purchased the newspaper advertisement in a timely manner. The long-awaited trial in the lawsuit challenging Pennsylvania's school funding system began on Friday, November 12th of 2021. The case, which was filed in November of 2014, alleges that Pennsylvania's school funding system violates the Education Clause and equal protection provisions of the state's constitution by failing to provide an adequate education to school children in low-wealth school districts and creating wide and unjustifiable disparities between school districts. I'm sure many of the board members are following this, and we will continue to follow this trial as it moves along. The following bills and resolutions are under consideration by the House Education Committee. House Bill 228 calls for the Joint State Government Commission to conduct a study and issue reports on the academic impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on students and school entities, which shall include the methods of instruction which are most successful for students. House Bill 1330 creates the Supplemental Online Course Initiative, requiring the PA Department of Education to establish a central repository of online courses accessible to all public schools, non-public schools, home education programs, and the general public. House Resolution 163 directs the Joint State Government Commission to establish an advisory committee to assess all training mandates in state law or regulations and identify any duplicate federal and state training mandates, evaluate any potential negative impacts of eliminating certain training mandates in state law or regulations, and include any recommendations relating to eliminating any training mandates in state law or regulations. The conversation and advocacy about charter school reform continues. It should be clear that PSBA is not opposed to charter schools, but like the 410 school boards across the Commonwealth who have passed a board resolution, PSBA is calling for the state legislature to pass substantive common sense charter funding reforms that protect Pennsylvanians' tax dollars. This afternoon at 12 o'clock, I sat in on a Zoom meeting that was conducted by the PA Disconnect in Cyber Charter Oversight and Funding Committee. And the PA Disconnect in Cyber Charter Oversight and Funding presentation that I listened to, they gave a report by the PA Charter Performance Center that explored how other states successfully monitor and fund cyber charters, and really offered some concrete recommendations on how the Commonwealth can, advocate for change. I thought it was very informative. I will try to get a copy of that report to have for all the board members. At this time, I'd like to offer a suggestion that the board begins to consider taking a more active role in charter school reform through advocacy efforts. Perhaps the formation of a committee could be considered to give more thought and input to the issue. It's just a thought, just a suggestion. Again, if any board member would like more information on any legislative matter, please feel free to contact me. And Mrs. McGinnis, at this time, if permitted and appropriate, I would like to offer a very brief report as the PSB representative to the PIAA Board of Directors.
Absolutely, go right ahead.
Thank you. For those board members who may be unaware, last June I was appointed by PSBA to be the PSBA School Board representative on the PIAA, that's the Pennsylvania Interscholastic Athletic Association Board of Directors. The term is for 2 years. I've been attending monthly PIAA Board of Directors meetings since last July and have attended several committee meetings as well. In addition, I serve as the lead for the 12 PIAA District PSBA School Board appointees and have been holding monthly Zoom meetings with the group to encourage dialogue, share information, and increase communication between PSBA and the 12 PIAA districts. Yesterday, January 26th, was the monthly January meeting. Interestingly, it was a 6-hour Zoom meeting that included 2 appeals hearings plus the regular agenda. There were supposed to be 3 hearings, however, one had to be rescheduled because of time issues. The hearings revolved around classifications of the school's football teams relative to the factors that affect classifications, including the transfer rule. The regular agenda meeting included items such as proposed bylaw amendments, proposed PIAA policy and procedure amendments, and PIAA administrative staff reports. Time does not permit me to go into any detail, so if there are any board members who would like more information, please feel free to contact me. Thank you for allowing me to give that report, Mrs. McGinnis, and this concludes my reports.
Thank you. You mean you don't want to go over the entire 6 hours? Well, thank you so much for serving on a board that has a 6-hour meeting. My goodness. Next, we have the Upper Perkiomen Education Foundation. Mrs. McCormick.
I'll go a lot faster. Recently, they held an in-person meeting in early January where we also welcomed the newest board members, myself, Ms. Penny Packer, as well as Sandy Castle and Corey Burkhart to the UPEF. The board worked in small groups to identify goals and priorities, and as a result, the finance and executive committees are meeting in the next few weeks, and the next full board meeting will be held on March 1st. Thanks, yeah, easy peasy. It's a great group. I'm excited to be a part of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Last but not least, the Regional Planning Commission representative, Dana Hipser.
All right. The Upper Perkiomen Valley Regional Planning Commission met via Zoom last night. The first order of business was reorganization. Upper Hanover's Bill Kalb was tabbed as the new chairman. Following that, a discussion and update on the progress for completion of the 10-year comprehensive plan proceeded. The comprehensive plan is a rather long document that provides considerable detail regarding not only resources and facilities available in the area, but also background and demographics. The 2011 report is available at Upper Perkiomen Valley RPC.org. Last night's discussion focused on demographics and statistics gathered through the 2020 census. I found the population rate of growth statistics very interesting and the post-high school education data sobering. The commission is seeking the public's input for the comprehensive plan. Search Upper Perkiomen Regional Planning Commission survey to access the questionnaire that will provide valuable opinion regarding our current outlook and goals for the future. Finally, representatives of the 6 municipalities offered an update on current happenings. Pennsburg Borough provided the most interesting updates regarding the ongoing discussion of the railroad bridge near 11th Street, the conversion of the old C&D battery plant on Penn Street, the Klein property development on Montgomery Avenue, and the pending Burger King on Pottstown Avenue. The next meeting of the Planning Commission is slated for Wednesday, February 23rd at 7 p.m. at the Marlborough Township Building, COVID permitting. Are there any questions?
Burger King?
Burger King. Beside McDonald's, you got a choice. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Hipser. All right, so that concludes committee reports. At this time, we're going to move on to public comments. So anybody who has a comment on any topic now, it doesn't have to be something that we've discussed. Just come up to the podium. Please just state your name, full name, first and last name, and your municipality.
Hi, my name is John McFadden. I'm a father of a student within the school district. As per my address, I don't have to state that as per federal judge order in.
Yeah, just their municipality you live in, your township, not your street address.
I know, but that's part of my address is my town. So
We can require you to say that.
yeah,
your
you
town-
can require me to write it at the beginning, but I don't have to verbalize it.
If
I
you
mean-
want, you can bring it up and we can look at it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. you
I'll
wanna-
present it to you guys, no problem, but I'm not going to verbalize it in public for everyone in case anyone, there's already been issues between other people on this. So what happened on Monday was my daughter dropped her mask on the way to the bus. She has been following all your mask rules this entire year. She dropped her mask on the way to the bus. I work in Spring City, which is 40 minutes away, and she was left at the bus stop. Now, if that's not bad enough, and that isn't to most people because apparently 13-year-olds are responsible like adults, she was not asked if she could get back in the house safely. Nobody tried to do anything, yell back and see if somebody can give her a mask extra from their backpack. And
most importantly, nobody contacted the school or the parents. I talked to the secretary, talked to the principal. Nobody contacted the school from the bus company. Nobody contacted the parents. In other circumstances, drop-offs, if a kid gets dropped off in the wrong bus stop, what happens? You contact the parents. It's ridiculous that parents are not contacted over this. What's all the things that could have happened? She could have forgot her keys, it's 27 degrees out, I'm 40 minutes away. What could happen? She could have been a bad kid like me and then not called anyone. There's nobody, I wouldn't have called my parents. I'd had a day off. Nobody contacted the school. How the hell would I know, right? West Virginia, I know the bus drivers have all the contact information for all the students' parents, and they contacted her mother directly over her little sister, any issues. Is West Virginia more advanced than Pennsylvania? If so, I think we need our cost of living back. I don't think I'm going to let this go, and I don't think any other parent listening to this should let this go until there's at least a policy in place that ensures that parents are informed of issues like this, like they would be at the end of the day. Beginning of the day is no different. She's expected to be a certain place. She should be there. Parents should know. That's it.
Thank you very much. Next. Okay. Okay. That's okay.
I'm sorry you had to go through that. That's a disgrace.
I know.
Nobody should ever have to put up with that. And the fact that nobody here has a comment or to make.
Can you just say your name and municipality?
Yeah, I'll get to that in a second.
Well, no, to start out your comment.
Okay, my name is Mike Long. Most of you know me. If you don't know me by name, you're going to know me now. I'd like to thank Mr. McCarrick and Ms. Hofkin for being on the board and representing our children, unlike the rest of you. And not having a comment or I'm sorry to that gentleman is an absolute disgrace and shows the character of this board, other than the two people that I mentioned, who don't even offer this gentleman an apology, whose child was left out in the cold. Disgrace. Mrs. Cunningham, you are a disgrace. An absolute disgrace. You've done nothing since you've been pushed down the rung and let Ms. McGinnis become part of this.
I don't really think you need to.
I don't really think
personal
I'm asking
comments.
for your opinion. So I'm just going to state what I have to. There's security in the room. If you want to call them, you probably want to call in some backup. This is my 2 minutes. It doesn't matter. This district is in a state of disarray. And again, other than the two people that I mentioned who stand up for these children every day, those goals were set up there. Keep your sign down, Mr. Summers.
No, I won't.
Other than what was up there, the goals are up there. You know what was missing from the goals? Get the masks off of our kids. Why isn't that a goal? It should be the bold #1 goal. Get the masks off our kids. Get back to normal. Rather than listen to Dr. Arkush and Dr. Fauci and all the people you're getting bad information from. Get the masks off our kids now. You have too many other issues in this school district to worry about. This school district is an absolute disgrace. IEPs, 504s, other arrangements are being completely ignored because all you care about is keeping masks on our kids. Get it together, run your school district and do what people elected you to do.
Thank you very much. Are there any other public comments? Hi, just remember to state your name and your municipality. Thanks.
Cool. I'm Jen Moran, Pennsburg / Upper Hanover. I always get confused with that one. Can't compete with anything that's going on, but I do have a quick question. I know that you can't answer things, but I have a picture in my head of a bunch of dead plants in a basement. I know that we were talking about before. And so it kind of also goes back to who proved that? Like, I mean, I know that, I mean, honestly, the school is not that old. So for something that big, because I mean, I don't think, you know, I worry about safety when it comes to that, because you're talking about a large portion of water. So I don't know, I actually would like more things about that because that looks like there'll be a nice amount of money. So have a problem with that. Here's another thing. I come to all these different meetings and I know you guys have done different votes on so forth when it comes to, sports and who's using what facility and fields and so forth. And, tonight was a perfect example of positive, great things that can be brought to our school district. We had 3 different teams that have come with awards and everything else. That does not start in high school. That doesn't start in middle school. That starts in a lot of the youth programs. I've been involved in a lot of them. And the amount of money and whether or not you should allow anybody to use anything. Really think about that because those are good things that we have. And I'd hate for you guys to think about your dollar bills and everything that we're spending even more money on a school that should have been done correctly in the first place. All this extra money could be going to the good stuff for our district. So before you just automatically, oh, we don't have the money or, oh, we don't like this sport or whatever else, can you really sit back and think for a moment before you start shutting everybody down that those kids were here tonight because there were a lot of other adults that cared a lot and volunteered their time to get here. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Vicki Lightcap, Pennsburg Borough. I'm going to build off of today. I was involved in conversations with quite a few parents about 504s and IEPs. And what I would like to know is when is that special education meeting, committee meeting? Madam President?
Yes, the next one, you just missed one, unfortunately, but the next one would be February 17th. At 7 p.m.
Okay, would also there be a place where we would be talking about support, like the paraprofessionals, that how many of them are working with our children? Because there's quite a few children who are falling through the cracks. And many, many years ago, we worked really hard with a special education task force. And I know there's a group of parents that have gotten together and have created an online task force looking in and being able to talk with each other to get what's best for their children. Will that also be discussed at this committee meeting? Would we be able to come there as parents and express to you what is important, that what our children need who have 504s and IEPs? Would we be able to voice our opinions at that committee meetings? Are they public meetings?
They are absolutely public meetings.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
That's why we always mention when they are, so that people will hopefully show up. Unfortunately, there was no public at our meeting on Monday. So February 17th, 7 p.m.
I would have been disappointed if I didn't come talk. Mary Cannon Orhowski, Hartford Township. I wanted to talk a little bit about the transportation. And I wanted to say I'm very understanding of the troubles we're having with the bus drivers and all of that. The ongoing issues have been happening, I think, even prior to Ms. Malone being our transportation director, is lack of communication to the parents. When buses are going to be extremely late and things of that nature. I was very excited as a parent this year, living up on the mountain, that we were going to have this fancy new app that was going to give us updates. And I have been in contact to get my own updates personally, but I've not seen anything go out to the parents to let us know that's clearly not happening, especially as we're in the cold weather. I know we had an issue last week where we did get a text message about that water main break. There'd be buses be a little bit late. My older kids were only picked up about 10 minutes late. I stood outside with my 2 elementary kids for more than 30 minutes waiting for the bus. And it wasn't because of the nature of that. It was because another bus going down the hill stopped to let me know she had to stop traffic so my bus could go around a tractor trailer stuck on my hill. No contact to me as a parent, nothing that this bus is extremely late outside of the other nature. And I just think we need to do a better job communicating And if it means that we need to get somebody else in there on the radios, then we need to figure that out. I'm very understanding the bus driver situation, but not communicating to us is causes us to be so frustrated unnecessarily, where it could just be a simple email. This app isn't happening. You know, you still have parents checking that app and it's still, you know, things are missing. And if we need to delete it, then let us know. And we're going to another nature, then just simply tell us, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? No? We're going to move on to board comments. So I'll just, anybody want to put their light on and say they want to talk?
I'd be happy to talk about the basin. Anybody, if you want to email me and then I'll have your email, I'll be happy to talk to about the basin with you because yeah, I agree. That was not a good design.
The picture in my head is the back from the plants.
It's a big basin. They all died. Yep, they all died and it's a really big basin. And it's not supposed to have water in it. So that was part of the problem. Yeah.
I'll speak up and, the gentleman who, his daughter was left, I'm very sorry. I would be very upset if that was my daughter left behind. I know that they are working on ways to improve that situation. I hope that those continue forward. And that, my understanding is they are making it so that there are things in place like masks on all the bus and things like that. And I know that it was definitely not, the best situation. So I apologize that happened to you guys. And, I really hope that we will all be able to improve that in the future.
I'll echo what Ms. McCormick said. Mr. McFadden was planning on coming out and talking to you afterwards. As I said at my last meeting, I don't do a lot of things speaking to people in public like this, dressing them down or anything like that, or criticizing. I will speak to people individually, except during our committee reports, I will praise our kids and our staff and our teachers for the good things that they do.
And just, it's good that you came tonight because we've been talking about it. Like we talked, but the fact that you're bringing it to our attention and they really are, because they've been trying and it's a tough situation and it does suck what happened. Not downplaying that at all. But, no, I get it. No. And maybe that's something we could talk about in the communications committees, that bus app. I don't know. So, but thanks for bringing up your stuff. And again, to echo, we all feel terrible about what happened. So I'm sorry that it happened.
I feel like you all are done when you're saying that. I do.
Yeah, we're not trying to downplay,
Until I see something in paper,
No,
I'm gonna
but-
be here every time. I'm gonna bring this up every time.
No, that's fine. No. Want improvement. There's nothing wrong with want improvement for your kid and the kids of this community. No, join us, please. Thanks, dude.
Thank you. I too wanted to say something to Mr. McFadden. So last month or 2 weeks ago, I received a lot of flack because I spoke to somebody who came up and spoke. And I got emails about how I treated one person differently than another. So this time I didn't do it. And then I got flack for not saying something right after you said something. So I can't win for losing, but that's okay. Mr. McFadden, what happened to your daughter is unacceptable. I'm just going to flat out say it. It's totally unacceptable. Yeah, that's a fine word too. When I first found out about it, the first question I asked was, so every bus driver is going to know from here on out that we don't leave a 12-year-old or any child on the side of a road. And I was assured that yes, they are working on that. We cannot close, we can close the barn door, but the horse has already left. We can't do anything about what happened to your daughter, and I'm really sorry about it.
I'm honestly not worried about.
But we are working on making sure that it never happens again. Yes, we have been made aware of that now. I have to admit, until Tuesday, I had no idea. but we were made aware of it. I'm sorry, Mr. Elliott, I'm talking. It's okay. So I just wanted to let you know that, you know, the reason I didn't say anything, like I said, was because we're trying to make these meetings a little bit more structured. So I had fully intended to say something when it was my turn during board comments. All right, but please know, the entire board is extremely sorry.
Lucky that it happened with her and not somebody less prepared.
Absolutely. So again, please extend our apologies to your daughter.
She's right here.
Oh, hi. We are very sorry. But I'm glad you handled it appropriately and you called your dad and hopefully this never, ever, ever happens again. All right. And on that note, does anybody else have any more board comments? All right. Second. All in favor? Motion or meeting adjourned.